Hello guys, today I welcome you all to our new YouTube channel and I hope you all will love our work and appreciate us by subscribing our channel. So by not wasting your much time, we will directly start our story. This story is considered as the biggest crime in British history. After this incident took place, the government of England had announced a reward of £2 million in 1983. So you can imagine how big the robbery was. This robbery took place at Heathrow International Trade Estate in London, United Kingdom on November 26, 1983, in which gold bricks, diamonds, and money valued around £26 million at that time, which is nowadays equivalent to £93.3 million, were taken from a warehouse run by Brinks-Mat, a former joint venture between US security business Brinks and London-based company Mat Transport. Johnson Matthey Bankers Limited owned the gold. Armed robbery convictions were handed out for Mickey McCovey and Brian Robinson, the real masterminds behind this robbery. However, the majority of gold was never found. Also, number of shooting deaths have been connected to this case and Lloyd's of London was obliged to pay paid out for the losses in the last. So now imagine the scenario of warehouse when 8 robbers entered the Brinksmat facility in Unit 7 of the Heathrow International Trade Estate near Heathrow Airport in West London, England, around 6:40 p.m. on November 26, 1983. In this crime, the security officer Anthony Black was also indulged, so he allowed the gang entry to the facility. As soon as they were inside, they doused the employees with gasoline and threatened to light a matchstick if they did not give the wallet's combination numbers to them. The thieves anticipated taking about 3 million Spanish pesetas in cash. Instead, they discovered 3 tons of pure gold hidden in 6,800 bars and 76 cardboard boxes outside the main wallet. Prior to being transported to Hong Kong the following day, the gold had been kept overnight in the warehouse. They also grabbed 1,000 carats of jewelry. This gold, jewels and cash were totaled around of £26 million or 93.3 million in as of today in their haul. Now the robbery was finished and police began investigating about this matter. However, at the same time when police was doing their investigation, a couple in Somerset observed a white hot crucible in use in a garden shed at a neighbor's house 2 days after the robbery. They quickly alerted the police because they thought it might be related to the gold robbery. After being shown the hut, the police indicated it was just outside of their jurisdiction and that they would pass the information along to the officers in charge of that region. Neither the police nor the judge ever requested the couple's testimony. Now, no justification has been provided for why the police did not act on the tip off right away. Very sadly, we can say that somehow irresponsible behavior of police at that time was also responsible in for delay in arresting the criminals and recovery of the gold from them. So you can tell us in the comment section that if the police has responded actively to the complaint of that couple, then maybe authorities would have been able to solve this case just after the 2 days of robbery happened. After this, government announced the award of £2 million, but that was of no use because police was struggling a lot to get a small to small detail regarding the thieves. Although during the investigation, the authorities discovered that Brian Robinson, who was mentioned in flying squad intelligence files was housing Anthony Black's sister, who was security guard at warehouse. Black admitted in December 1983 to encouraging the raiders, giving them copies of the key to the front door and information on security procedures. He also said he had turned informant. He named Brian Robinson, his brother in law, as one of the robbers. Robinson and Mickey McCovey were taken into custody 10 days after the heist. One more person, Anthony White, was also detained in connection with the heist but was later freed. The furnace was discovered during a raid on a bath. It is an area in Somerset in January 1985, but the building's owner, jeweler, and bullion dealer John Palmer was away on vacation. However, Garth Chappell and Terence Patch, two of his erstwhile partners, was sent behind bars. Meanwhile, the Bank of England purportedly became aware of the abrupt movement of 13 million through Barclays Bank locations in Bristol area and notified the police, albeit the Bank of England disputes this. Now I will tell you about how many people were involved after the robbery to dispose of the gold and other items and what role they played in this crime. So let's start with Mickey McCovey, who had given his friends George Francis and Brian Perry a portion of his ownership to dispose of the gold. Brian Perry hired Kenneth Noe, a specialist in his field, in order to conceal the source. Kenneth Noe mixed copper coins into the gold bricks before melting it down and recasting it for sale. But fortunately, police somehow discovered Noe's suspicion in this crime and he was under police observation. But, this is not the end. Noe was also aware that police was following him. So one day he ran into Detective Constable John Fordham in the backyard of his house in January 1985 and stabbed him 10 times, killing the detective. At the subsequent trial, the jury ruled Noe not guilty of murder because he had claimed that he had been attacked and had killed the man in self-defense. At that time, Brian Reader was also in the place of crime when Noe stabbed the detective and he was also charged with murder. However, he was found not guilty. So, till now in police investigation, they have found 7 individuals including Noe, Chappell, Patch, and others were involved in this crime and police tried them in 1986 for handling the looted gold, and Noe was also accused of planning and supervising the scheme to launder the crime profits. In 1987, after the 4 years when this accident happened in 1983, John Palmer, the gold dealer who was involved in recasting of gold bricks, was underwent a trial after being deported from Brazil to the UK in 1986. Palmer was exonerated in court after asserting that he was not aware that the gold was connected to the heist. 9 people, including Brian Perry, who was friend of McCovey, the mastermind behind this robbery, and attorney Michael Welton, Kathleen McCovey, McCovey's sister, were detained in 1988 and tried for conspiring to handle stolen items. Michelle Welton was charged with transporting 7.5 million that had been illegally brought into Switzerland and back to the UK to invest in the Docklands real estate boom in London. Gordon Perry, the 10th suspect, was also discovered by police. But he was never captured. Meanwhile, Brian Perry, who was up for retrial, was not given a favorable verdict by the jury. Then, in 1989, Gordon, the 10th suspect, was also detained in Spain. A year later, he was extradited, or we can say deported to the UK, and accused of handling more than 16 million pounds. In 1991, he appeared in court alongside Jean Savage, Patrick Clark, Jacqueline McCovey, and Brian Perry, among others. Perry, Clark, and their son were each accused of laundering 7.5 million pounds, Jean Savage for 4.5 million pounds, and Brian Perry for 2.5 billion pounds. It was claimed that McCovey's ex-wife benefited from the home her ex-husband gave her. Her house was taken even though the jury was unable to reach a decision. Most of the 3 tons of stolen gold have never been found, despite a record reward of 2 million pounds being offered for its discovery. Gold worth of 1 million pounds was discovered at the Bank of England. Almost half of the gold, the amount that had been melted and the amount that has been melted and recasted, including the reserves of the real owners, Johnson Matthey, were believed to have returned to the legal gold market in 1996. Somehow reportedly asserted that anyone wearing gold jewelry purchased in UK after 1983 is likely wearing brings mat, according to the BBC. It was thought that the remaining gold was buried. In the last, I will tell you about the punishments that every person or the every criminal has was given because of their crime. So first we will start with Anthony Black. He received a 6-year sentence. Then Brian Robinson, mastermind of this robbery, received a 25-year sentence. Mickey McCovey, another mastermind, received a 25-year prison term for armed robbery. Later, George Francis, friend of McCovey, was killed, and McCovey was considered a suspect for that also. Kevin Noy, who recast the gold, was found guilty of conspiring to handle the Pink's Mad Gold in 1986. He was also given a fine of 500,000 pounds plus expenses of 200,000 pounds and given a 14-year prison term. Before being released in 1994, he served 7 years. So, this was the end of all criminals in today's story, and I hope you all would have liked it. So, I request you all to subscribe our channel, and we are trying to post new stories every week. Thank you and love you all.